Hey everyone, this is Cody. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you my review of the Seestar S50 Pro. Now, I'll be the first to admit that when the S30 Pro came out, I was excited about it, but what I was more excited about was the possibility that we might get an S50 Pro. And now that it's here, it has not disappointed whatsoever. It is an awesome upgrade to the original S50 in just about every single way. So in this video, I will compare the S50 Pro to the original S50, talk about what's similar and what's changed. They do still include a hard carry case, which is nice, with a tripod, but the tripod is a little bit different now in a good way. So we'll talk about that. And I'm not usually one to share packing materials, but I thought this box was pretty cool. It has the S50 Pro on it. It showcases the different imaging modes, so solar, lunar, star trail, and Milky Way, and then on the back you have some really nice deep sky images. So that's the only thing I'm going to mention about the box. We'll put that off to the side, and yeah, today we'll cover the S50 Pro in depth. Now, just to be transparent, like I am in all of my videos, I did not pay for the S50 Pro. This was sent to me from ZWO for testing and review. So I did not pay for this. I just want to let you know that up front, so that you have that in mind as you're evaluating the information I'm giving you. But just know I'm unbiased in my reviews. I'm not an influencer or anything like that. I'm not trying to convince you to buy this. I just like to review these products for you. So anyway, let's get going with the video. Now I want to discuss the changes to the tripod on the S50 Pro first. It now has a wider mounting base. So the original tripod on the S50 is just like this, as you can see. So when you're on like a hill or something, it can kind of be a little tricky to get this to balance. You know, you're kind of pulling one foot down, keeping the other feet the same, and trying to get it level on a hill. And you can do it. It just, when it's upright like this, you don't get a real good base. Well, now they have little pullouts, so I can pull these out on each foot, and it allows me to go much wider now. So I can get a much wider base on the S50 Pro tripod. So if I'm on a hill or other uneven terrain, it becomes much easier to level this. And it also gives me a lot more peace of mind. I feel that the base of the S50 Pro is going to be much more supported with a wider tripod footprint. So awesome upgrade to the tripod just out of the box. Another benefit to this improved tripod is the wide base works really well with the Seestar TH10 equatorial tripod head. This allows you to use your Seestar in equatorial mode, giving you the option of taking images up to 1 minute in length, and you won't see the effects of field rotation. So I always try to use my Seestar in equatorial mode when possible. Now that said, I do have a full review and tutorial of the TH10 tripod head, so I'll post a link to that in the description if you're interested in seeing how it works and how to use the Seestar in equatorial mode. One last note on the tripod, I just wanted to give some credit where credit is due. ZWO does something pretty rare, including an excellent quality carbon fiber tripod in the box with the S50, and then improving upon it with the S50 Pro. That's pretty rare in astronomy. Usually the telescope is great and the tripod is the weak link when you buy a kit. When the tripod should be the strong link. You need the telescope to have a nice supported base and foundation, and the S50 Pro comes with a tripod that you're not going to need to replace right out of the box. It's fully adjustable, it gives you a nice wide base, and it's a photographic quality tripod. So excellent work from ZWO with the Seestar S50 and S50 Pro tripods. You won't ever really need to replace them. Another upgrade for the S50 Pro is the internal battery capacity is 10,000 milliamp hours, whereas the S50 is 6,000 milliamp hours. So they nearly doubled the battery capacity of the S50 Pro, and you can expect up to 9 hours of runtime, which is pretty awesome compared to the 4 to 5 hours that you can get on the S50. Now, of course, in the winter, if it's cold outside and you're running the dew heater, you will get decreased run times there. But in that situation, I like to use a USB-C to wall adapter and run off AC power, or use an external battery pack just to give the Seestar some extra juice. But yeah, you can expect substantially longer run times on the S50 Pro, which is an awesome upgrade. An additional upgrade for the S50 Pro is it has the addition of a fourth lens that acts as a field flattener. So the S50 Pro is an Apochromatic Quadruplet, whereas the S50 is an Apochromatic Triplet, meaning it has 3 lenses. Now, being apochromatic, it's going to have really good color correction, but it does not have a field flattener. However, it doesn't really need one because the Sony IMX462 sensor in here is so small that you're not really going to see the effect of field curvature in your images. You'll still have nice sharp stars to the edges. With the S50 Pro though, and the sensor being so much larger than the S50 sensor, you will need that fourth lens to keep the stars nice and sharp at the edges. So fortunately, we do get that. It is an apochromatic quadruplet with a field flattener in it, and the color correction is still excellent being apochromatic. So that said, I thought it'd be fun to do a little comparison image between the two telescopes. So tonight is actually looking amazing outside, not a cloud in the sky. So I'm gonna go ahead and set these up. I'm gonna image NGC 6960, which is the Western Veil Nebula. And I'm going to try to shoot for about 2 hours on both telescopes simultaneously and show you the results between the two sensors. And for me, it's pretty striking of a difference. It's easy for me to say the S50 Pro is an apochromatic quadruplet, but really there's a lot more engineering that goes into it than that. Because the sensor is so large in the S50 Pro, ZWO had to completely reconfigure the optics compared to the S50 to make sure that the stars in the corners stayed sharp, which isn't easy. They also do a star test to ensure that every S50 Pro that leaves the factory is giving you not only sharp corner stars, but excellent color correction that you would expect out of an apochromatic refractor. Just like the other Seestar smart telescopes, the S50 Pro has built-in filters. So you have the standard clear glass filter that's UV IR cut. You have a light pollution filter that's dual narrowband hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3, which is great for imaging emission nebula. You have a dark filter, and that can be applied in the settings to remove the dark current from your images, which is great. And you also have an excellent magnetic solar filter, and this will go over the main imaging sensor. And what's great about this one is it will also work for the wide angle sensor, and I'll demonstrate this in just a moment. And another neat feature is the app now has an auto light pollution filter slider. So if you're a beginner and you don't know which targets would benefit from a light pollution filter or not, you can just go to image a target, and if you have that turned on, it will automatically place the light pollution filter in the imaging train for like emission nebulae. But if you then decide to go image a globular star cluster, it will then take the light pollution filter out of the imaging train and go back to clear glass. So it's really useful for beginners. It will just put the best filter in place for you and you don't have to worry about it. So lots of cool features on the S50 Pro, and it is loaded with filters right out of the box. The S50 Pro features an upgraded Zero-Backlash mechanical drive system. It results in excellent pointing accuracy, improved tracking stability, and wind resistance. According to ZWO, this is especially the case in equatorial mode, and I would agree with them. Every time I've used the S50 Pro in equatorial mode, I've had an awesome experience. I'm taking images up to 60 seconds in length, and I'm having no tracking errors and pinpoint stars. And what makes it even better? There's no meridian flip, because this is not a German equatorial mount, so you don't have to worry about a ruined imaging session in the middle of the night, which makes it even better. Okay, so as I mentioned, the S50 Pro does come with a magnetic solar filter that covers both the main system and the wide angle system, which is great. Now, I do have my Seestar set to equatorial mode right now. I don't have it polar aligned, but I do have it at the correct latitude. So let's see how close it gets to putting the sun right in the center. So I'll put this on. And I am going to tap on solar system, sun. It's going to ask me to verify the solar filter is installed, which it is. And I'll hit go. See how close it gets. You can see it in the wide angle sensor right now. And you got it. It's moving up. Easy. Is the sun in the fram? Yes. I'm going to hit the drop down and hit center target. That's going to center the sun, and then you can focus on, there's some sunspots on the limb right there. It's kind of windy out here, so focus actually looks good to me right now, so I'm not going to autofocus. I'm just going to take a picture. Let it stabilize there. And just like that, you can see just how easy solar observation is with the S50 Pro. That took me like 1 minute. Like the S30 Pro, the S50 Pro has fast NFC connectivity. So the first time you go to connect to your telescope, you just hold your phone over the top, beep, and you're done. It's basically the same thing as tapping your card at the grocery store. Now, interestingly enough, ZWO has chosen not to publish what the main imaging sensor is in the Seestar S50 Pro. What I do know is the sensor has 8.29 megapixels, the sensor size is 1/1.2 inches, and the pixels are 2.9 microns in size. The sensor is 2160 by 3840, just your standard 4K, but I can't share anything about quantum efficiency at different wavelengths, noise, dark current, anything like that, unless I do so qualitatively. Which I will say the sensor does perform well. I've been satisfied with my images. The noise control is definitely much better than in the S50. My images that come out are far less noisy, but as far as actual specifications, we're a little bit limited on the Seestar S50 Pro, so hopefully they will publish what the sensor is in the future. In the meantime though, I will compare it to the S50. I made a small graphic for you to demonstrate the size difference between the S50 sensor and the S50 Pro sensor. And you can see that the sensor in the S50 Pro is way larger than the Sony IMX462 sensor that's in the S50. Now, the IMX462 is still a decent sensor. It's a bit dated, but it's actually quite infrared sensitive, which a lot of people used for planetary imaging. However, I did get quite a bit of noise with that sensor in the S50, whereas in the S50 Pro, I see much better noise overall in my images, or much less noise, I should say. Now, the S50 Pro sensor you would consider to be 4K at 2160 by 3840, and the S50 is 1920 by 1080. Now the pixel size though is the same, 2.9 microns. So since the pixel size is the same, essentially the resolution is the same. So if you like the field of view you get with the S50, you could just crop an S50 Pro image and have the same resolution and the same field of view. So really, there's no reason not to go with the larger image sensor. You will get larger file sizes, which I'll discuss, but you're going to get a lot more data in your images than with this way smaller sensor in the Sony IMX462 that's in the S50. So for this video, I thought it would be fun to share the images that I took with the S50 Pro and processed with the Seestar app, because the app has had so many improvements. You can do background extraction, reduce stars, remove stars. So I didn't use PixInsight or the computer for any of my processing. Thought it'd be fun to just show the data I took and have you be the judge of my images. Editor Cody here. I'm just going to tap pause on the video real quick and say that unfortunately I was not able to capture as many images for this review as I would have liked due to very thick wildfire smoke ruining a lot of clear nights. So in the future I do plan on capturing a lot more with the S50 Pro, and I want to do longer integrations and more mosaics. So if that interests you, feel free to check out my Instagram page where I'll be posting those photos, or subscribe here on YouTube for more S50 Pro content. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and resume the video. I mentioned that the resolution of the S50 Pro and the S50 is essentially the same, but actually the S50 Pro has slightly better resolution or image scale than the S50 does. The S50 Pro has a focal length of 260 millimeters. take that with its 2.9 micron pixel sizes, and you get a resolution or image scale of 2.30 arc seconds per pixel. Whereas the S50 has a focal length of 250 millimeters, and with its 2.9 micron pixels, you get a resolution or image scale of 2.39 arc seconds per pixel. So the S50 Pro does have slightly better resolution than the S50 does. Now, the vast majority of people are never going to notice that, including me, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. Now, in addition to the resolution, because the focal length is slightly longer given the same aperture, the S50 Pro will be slightly slower than the S50 will. So if you take the focal length 260 millimeters and you divide it by the aperture 50 millimeters, you get a focal ratio of f5.2. Do the same thing here, 250 millimeter focal length, divide 50 millimeter aperture, you get a focal ratio of f5. But similar to the resolution, those are so similar that the vast majority of people, including me, will never notice that. Again, just something to mention. Another advantage for the S50 Pro's large sensor is when you're taking a mosaic. On the S50, you have to take several panels, but on the S50 Pro, you just have to take a few panels to achieve the same field of view. The big advantage for that is you get more integration time per panel, which improves the signal-to-noise ratio of your image overall. The S30 Pro and the S50 Pro share the same wide-angle lens system. They have the same sensor, the same focal length, the same autofocusing system, and a giant 63-degree field of view, which is really nice because you can use the wide-angle system as a finder scope. So if for some reason your Seestar cannot locate the moon or the sun, if you have a solar filter in place, you can use the wide-angle system as a finder, and it makes locating those objects so much easier. Additionally, having an autofocuser in the wide-angle system is awesome because if you want to do any kind of Milky Way photography, star trails, or nightscapes, the autofocuser will make your life much easier. So really, it makes the S50 Pro kind of like an all-in-one package. You can do deep sky imaging with it, or with the wide-angle sensor, you can dabble with nightscape images too. If you watched my Seestar S50 Pro review, you'll recall that with the wide-angle sensor and the new star trail mode, I was a little bit bummed that you could not save individual star trail images. So if airplanes came through or you had satellites overhead, they were there to stay. Well, great news, there has been an update. So now not only can you save individual star trail images, but you can also stack them in the app with the star trail stack feature. So if you do have airplanes or satellites or anything ruining your star trail images, you can remove those manually now and then stack them in the app. So I took the S50 Pro outside in my backyard all night and made a star trail image, and I'll show you the difference between every image being stacked compared to me manually removing them. You can see with the ability to manually remove the satellites, airplanes, and all that from the image, the star trails look much better. So a great update there. One thing that's nice about both the S50 and the S50 Pro is they're both very quiet. But the S50 Pro I find to be even quieter than the S50. So I pulled my camera nice and close. I have my microphone equidistant from both smart telescopes. And I'm not going to edit this audio clip at all. There's not going to be any noise reduction or anything. You'll hear the pure audio from both the S50 and the S50 Pro when they're operating. So let's start with the S50 and then I'll switch over to the S50 Pro. So let's just open it. Pretty quiet. Okay, and let's open the S30 Pro arm. Much quieter. So, as I mentioned, both smart telescopes are pretty quiet. I don't think you're going to disturb your neighbors with either of them, but you're definitely not going to disturb a neighbor with the S50 Pro. Something I noticed right when I got the S50 Pro was that it's quite a bit heavier and larger than the S50. So I thought it would be fun to measure the weight and the mass of both smart telescopes just to see the difference. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my scale is properly calibrated. So this is a 50-gram brass calibrator. It has a mass of exactly 50 grams. So let's see. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's start with the S50. See the mass there, 2,335 grams. Let's see what that is in pounds and ounces. That is 5 pounds, 2.5 ounces. Okay. Now let's get back to grams here. Do the S50 Pro. Yeah, it's definitely heavier for sure. $2,854 grams. Again, let's go and see what that is in pounds, ounces. 6 pounds, 4.7, round that up to 5. So 6 pounds, about 5 ounces. So what is that, about 1.25 pounds heavier than the S50? So yeah, that is a pretty substantial difference actually. Not sure how useful you'll find that information, maybe if you're trying to check in for a flight and every pound matters, but hey, just thought it'd be something to check out. One potential con with the S50 Pro is the storage capacity. Now this is something I also covered in my Seestar S50 Pro review, so I'll post a link to that review in this video and in the description if you want to see that, but I'm going to cover it in this video as well. So if you recall when I was discussing the imaging sensors in these two smart telescopes, the pixel sizes are the same, 2.9 micron pixels and 2.9 micron pixels. However, the sensor area in the S50 Pro is about 4 times that of the S50. So if the pixel sizes are the same, but the sensor area is 4 times larger, that means you're going to have 4 times as many pixels in each image. 4 times as many pixels, 4 times the file size. So if we look at my computer here at NGC 6960, I have some subframes, and you'll see that on the S50, one subframe is about 4 megabytes, and on the S50 Pro, it's 16 megabytes. So it is indeed 4 times larger. But the storage capacity was only increased from 64 gigabytes to 128 gigabytes. So it was doubled. It wasn't quadrupled. So let's just throw out an arbitrary number. If you could take or store 5,000 images on the S50, you could only store 2,500 images on the S50 Pro, only half. So it is a con that I thought I should mention, but it's not something that's a big problem for a couple reasons. The first reason is a lot of people that use these Seestars don't save raw files, individual raw files. They just want the stacked photo. So that's going to save a lot of storage space there. For people that do save individual raw files like me, we usually plug our computer in, take those files off of the Seestar and process them on our computer. Now the Seestar processing in the app has improved immensely. It's awesome. It now has star reduction, star removal, dynamic background extraction, so it's great, but I think a lot of people still will pull the individual files off the Seestar and process them themselves. So honestly, the storage capacity isn't something I'm really even thinking about when I'm using the Seestars, and you can also improve things by using the TH10 equatorial tripod head and longer exposures. That way you cut down on the amount of files you have. But again, I don't view it as like a huge con. I just think it was something that I should mention. Let's discuss pricing. So the Seestar S50 Pro is going to come out at the end of August 2026 with an introductory pre-order price of $899 US. In mid-September, that will change to the typical retail price of $999 US. The S30 Pro as of August 2026 is $699 US. So if you're considering either of these smart telescopes, you just have to weigh the difference of, is it worth $300 to get 20 more millimeters of aperture? Well, for me, if I was to answer that question, I'd definitely say yes. Bigger is always better in astronomy to me. I like the extra light gathering power. You get more resolution out of this telescope as well. So if I could only have one, I'd definitely be picking the S50 Pro. But it's just something that you'll have to weigh, cost versus what you gain from each telescope. Before I conclude, I just want to share my final thoughts on the S50 Pro. I love that a beginner can get the S50 Pro and in their first night produce better images than what took me 3 years to produce over a decade ago. The S50 Pro makes astrophotography so simple. It does so many things that you don't have to worry about like I did when I was starting out. And I think that's awesome because it's going to get so many more people into astronomy and expand the interest in astronomy. Also, amateur astronomers, they can use the S50 Pro, get a ton of data from it, and produce amazing images. They can process those in the Seestar app or on their computer on their own time. Professional astronomers might choose to collaborate and put a bunch of these together, maybe do some asteroid research or variable star research. The S50 Pro really can be used simply by anyone, and I think that is awesome. So in my opinion, the S50 Pro is rivaling much more expensive 50mm color imaging rigs. It's easy to set up, has an easy user experience, and the optical quality is excellent as evidenced by the stars. So honestly, it's a pretty good way to go. All right, everyone, well that wraps up my review of the Seestar S50 Pro. These smart telescopes just keep getting better and better with the newest generation of sensors that are larger, better optics, and continual app updates where we can do star reduction, star removal, photometric measurement, planning, all from the app. Just makes you want to use one of these like all the time over your standard imaging rig. So I was really anticipating the Seestar S50 Pro. It hasn't disappointed whatsoever. I've been really satisfied with my images and I love using it. So I hope you enjoyed this review as always. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and clear skies.